Hi everyone, I am Dikshamaya Chalakani, Assistant Professor of Physics from Government Degree College for Women Nalgonda. In this video, I am going to explain the X-ray diffraction method, this powder method, the powder diffraction method. So in this video, we see which type of sample we consider and which parameter is fixed and which parameters are variables and how to measure the interplanar spacing and from which planes the reflections are occurring, we are going to see. So it is one, so this powder method is the simplest method and the most convenient and the fastest method. So that means we can get the data very quickly and it is convenient to get the sample and it is applicable for all solids, all materials. So in earlier method, in Lave method, we were taking single crystalline material so as our sample. Okay, it is difficult to grow single crystals. So it, sometimes it may not be possible to grow single crystalline materials for all materials. In that case, so it is the alternate method. Okay, so in this we take, it is the sample what we are seeing here. So this one here we take the sample which is crushed, the material whose properties are to be studied, that is crushed and made in uh, powder form, and that powder is filled in a capillary tube, or sometimes that powder is made to stick to a wire which is coated with adhesive material. Okay, so even sometimes we keep a wire here. For that wire the total powder is sticked. Okay, so in that way we take the sample here and a capillary tube, very small dimension. So the sample in the capillary tube is in powder form. So it consists very small crystals or tiny crystals. Okay, so that means all those crystals orient in different directions. Here we use instant light ray or X-ray is monochromatic X-ray. We use monochromatic X-ray. So we see actually here. So just like this, here we are seeing the filter. So whenever the X-ray passes through a filter, it becomes monochromatic. So we are using the monochromatic X-rays. So and hence lambda is fixed. And since there are different planes, different crystals in different orientations, the planes are also oriented in different directions. And hence angle is variable. The angle is different for different planes. So corresponding to different planes, corresponding to different angles, we observe diffraction pattern. For particular angle of incidence, we observe the diffraction pattern from a certain set of planes, so which are obeying the Bragg's law. Okay, in that way we observe the diffraction pattern for different planes. Okay, we see the animation here. So the light ray comes from this, after coming from filter, the monochromatic light ray comes from here and falls on the sample, and it gets diffracted in all directions. So, and it passes, it goes away through this path. Okay, so this one is called a Debye-Scherrer camera. So Debye-Scherrer camera, it is a cylindrical camera record. It is, there is a facility to record and a film which is coated to this. So the blue one is camera, we can assume the Debye-Scherrer camera, which is in cylindrical shape, and this brown one is film, the photographic film. Okay, whenever the X-rays fall on this, so the film, some either dots or lines are formed on this film, we observe. Okay, so it is the arrangement. Whenever the X-rays exposed to this film, we observe the marks on the film. We observe those marks after developing. Okay, so that one. So the light rays goes straight away. Some light rays, and some light rays or X-rays get scattered in all directions, and we observe the phenomena here. Here we are seeing just like this. Light ray comes and scatters, and it makes a pattern on the film. So here we are observing. So light ray is coming and it is being scattered in all directions, and the other ray is going away. So here is going away from here, and it is making the pattern on the photographic film. So here the circles, the radius of curvature is less, and as we are coming this side, the radius of curvature of the curves increases at this angle. So it is a 90-degree angle, or it is corresponding to 45-degree angle of incidence. So the planes which are making 45-degree angle of incidence with X-ray, so they make these vertical lines. So the reflections from those planes which are making 45-degree angle, so those reflections or those scattered rays form a straight line on the photographic film. So you see here. So once more we are observing just like this. Now we see here. So it is the pattern just like this. So once the pattern, X-ray diffraction pattern is recorded on the film, and this film is taken away from this device, and it is uh, developed in a dark room. So even we should keep this entire setup in a dark room in order to avoid the exposure of other outside environment to this film. So, and it is coated with some black color also. Whenever it is irradiate to X-rays, at those time only these lines are formed. And after developing this, we observe this type of film, developed film. So here in this film, if we extend the total film, so we observe one line here, one dot here, and one dot here. The passage, it is a circle, or we can say it is a hole, and here is another hole, and we are getting one vertical line on both sides of the dots. Okay, this one. So, so just like this, so we observe after developing the film, we observe this type of photographic film on which it is corresponding to a hole. So it is direct. So the direct reflection, that means low angle reflection. So whenever this, so here whenever the light rays, okay, we can observe here. So it is a plane, yellow one is a plane. So it is the incoming X-ray. Whenever it falls on the plane by making some glancing angle theta here, so these X-rays are scattered from the plane by making the same angle. So that means it was the angle, here also it is making same angle theta. But with respect to incident direction, so we are extending this direction, just like this. So, so it is also a theta. Since these are straight lines, this brown one and dashed line is a straight line, and it is obviously this thin line is also straight line. This angle is theta. Obviously, this angle is theta, and from this geometry, we are knowing that the direction of reflected or scattered ray is making 2 theta angle with incident direction. Okay, so just like this. So in all directions, so it is a cone. Since we are talking about a 3 dimension, so with respect to incident direction, the X-ray scattered in all directions which are making 2 theta with incident directions, so they form one cone. So actually, cone type X-rays passes, but this cone intersects our film on two arcs. So this cone intersects our film on two arcs. It is one arc and it is another arc. So that we observe here, so just like this. So actually it is a cone, it intersects here just like this, and it intersects the film here. So in that way it forms a cone. So as it is increasing, radius of curvature is increased. Later we get these curves. At these positions, at this position, we get the vertical lines. Vertical lines. After that, we see the backward reflection. If the angle is 45 degree, so we get these vertical lines. If the angle of uh, diffraction angle is greater than 45, so the back reflection of X-rays occur. Okay, so these rays, totally these 5 rays or 6 rays, are corresponding to back reflection, and these 5 rays are corresponding to forward reflection. Okay, so just like that. So it is theta. We are getting that it is 2 theta. So the scattered ray angle with respect to incident direction is 2 theta, and it is the thing. So it was totally our camera view. So the total circle. So it was incident ray. It is incident ray we are seeing. So from this geometric shape, so it is arc length. So it is totally S, and this total angle is 4 theta. So there is the formula. So for theta is equal to S by R. So theta is very small, or length of the arc is equal to S is equal to R into theta. Okay, just like that. The length of the arc S is equal to 4 theta into R at first. Later 4 theta is equal to S by R. From this, S theta is equal to S by 4R radians. It is the formula in radians. So in this experiment, we are using the X-rays of known wavelength. We know that lambda value, and our Bragg's law is 2d sin theta is equal to n lambda. We know lambda, and the diffraction, order of diffraction also we know. We observe from this film, and from that we know lambda and n. Then we calculate theta value. So from this, we calculate the theta value from the developed photographic film. So since these are the arcs, it is corresponding to one circular shape. Here to here gives us the diameter. Okay. So obviously it is S. Its length is from here to here, the length is S. And from this formula, so theta is equal to S by 4R. So we know we use the camera. R is the radius of the camera. Radius of the camera, that is also known to us. So by substituting S value measured from the photographic film and R is the radius of the camera, we substituting all these quantities, we get theta in radians. If we want to get the theta in degrees, we multiply it with 180 by pi, so in degrees. So, but there is some correction. So whenever we develop the film, so that means by shrinking in water or chemical and making it to dry, and there may be shrinkage in the film. So whenever it shrinks, so the actual length, the actual diameter is not the diameter corresponding to the rings made by X-ray diffraction pattern. Obviously, there will be shrinkage in the film and hence S value decreases. So we have to remove this correction. We have to remove this shrinkage error. Okay, that is removed in this way. So the shrinkage factor is equal to actual hole to hole distance after shrinkage and 90 mm divided by 90 mm. So in this camera, we use the camera of radius 180 by pi radian, pi degrees. That means of radius 180 by pi mm. So 180 by pi is equal to 57.3 millimeters. Okay, so we use a camera of radius 57.3 millimeters, and in that case, so the total the arc length is equal to r the angle. So 1 degree angle is corresponding to 1 arc length. So whenever we use that radius camera, 1 degree on angular position is equal to 1 on arc length. So that is the relation. So in that case, from hole to hole, the distance, it should be 90 but there may be some error, maybe less than 90. So we measure from the film, developed film, and we write the actual length, hole to hole distance after shrinkage or after developing, divided by 90 gives shrinkage factor. So if it is some p percentage, so if it is p percentage, then the corresponding correction of the corresponding correction for S is given by adding this factor. So P by 100 into S, totally P by 100 into S, we are adding this fraction. P percent of S is the shrinkage factor. Then we write this product in addition to S. Okay, S plus this quantity gives us S dash. Actually, this is the arc length before developing. That means without shrinkage. Whenever we remove the error, and it is the corresponding S value. So that is S dash. Okay. So if it is S dash, so it was our equation 1. Okay. So here we are using a camera of radius 180 by pi. So we write R is equal to 180 by pi and S is equal to S dash. Then the equation becomes theta is equal to S dash by 4. S dash by 4. So S dash is calculated using this formula, S plus P by 100 into S, and S is calculated from the above figure. So from the distance between the corresponding arc lengths, okay, the corresponding arc lengths. So, so this S value gives the angle of diffraction for certain set of planes, and this arc length, okay, so this pattern or arc is corresponding to another set of parallel planes which are making different angles than earlier. So similarly, we get the diffraction patterns of different set of planes and which are making different angles with incident X-ray. Okay, that one. So S is measured from this, and from that, by substituting in this we get S dash, and by substituting S dash in this formula we get theta. So it is the Bragg's law. It is equation from Bragg's law. So 2d sin theta is equal to n lambda if n is equal to 1. So sin theta is equal to lambda by 2d. Sin square theta is equal to lambda square by 4d square. Now we are having. So since we are using the X-rays of known wavelength, we know the lambda value and hence lambda square, and we are measuring the theta value from above formula, from this formula, then obviously we are able to calculate the interplanar spacing of different planes, different sets of planes. From this equation we are able to identify the interplanar spacing of different planes. So later even we can find out from which planes the reflections are being occurred. If we know the Miller indices HKL, we come out to know the orientation of planes and hence the location of lattice points. Okay, so from this, in case of cubic crystals, the interplanar spacing D is equal to A by under root H square plus K square plus L square. So by writing that, so D square is equal to A square by H square plus K square plus L square. So after writing that in place of D square, now we are getting sin square theta is equal to D square into H square plus K square plus L square by 4A square. Okay, here we know lambda and we calculate theta from that film, and we know the lattice constant and we come out to uh, calculate the Miller indices. Okay, so and by repeating the experiments and identifying the ratios of sine square theta, so we get the ratio of h square plus k square plus l squares by different quantities. So according that those quantities are the sequence of ratios, we come to know so which type of crystal it is or which type of Bravais lattice exists. Okay, so there are certain rules here, extension rules to know which type of crystal it is. So these are the extension rules. So it is a crystal type and allowed reflections. So if we observe the reflections for all values of h square plus k square plus l square, then we come to a conclusion that it is simple cubic crystal. So if the reflections occurs for even values of h plus k plus l, so it is a BCC crystal. And when HKL are all are odd or even, then it is a FCC crystal. So in other case, when HKL are all odd or all even and their sum should be divisible by 4 if it is the case, and the crystal may be diamond cubic. Okay, so these are the rules which are helpful to find out the which type of crystal is powered in the capillary tube. Okay, it is about powder diffraction method. So in this video we have learned so how to calculate the interplanar spacing, and how to calculate the Miller indices, and how to know the crystal structure using powder diffraction method. In this we are using monochromatic X-rays. Okay, and the material is taken in powder form. It is easy, and we can get the data very quickly. Okay, so thank you very much for watching.